Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Healthcare Outreach Volunteer Training today. My name is Julianne. I am the Navigator Program Supervisor here at the Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy, and I just want to thank you all so much for offering to volunteer with our project. We would not be able to help all of the individuals that we do without help from you all. So thank you so much for joining us today. So I know that your time is precious, so let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so today we are going to go over the outreach volunteer opportunity, what the weekly process looks like when you do become an outreach volunteer, making a phone call, frequently asked questions that we receive, as well as Google Voice, which is the platform we'll be using to make our callbacks. So there are a couple of purposes for our outreach volunteers, and the first are callbacks. So every year before each open enrollment period, we call back every single consumer that we have enrolled in the past year, as well as other community members who have requested a callback during open enrollment. So that would be individuals that maybe we're meeting with in the community and they aren't currently enrolled in marketplace insurance, and they may not qualify for what's called a special enrollment period to enroll outside of open enrollment, but they have expressed interest in wanting to enroll in the future. So we've added them to the list as well. Last year, we made over 1,000 callbacks. Thanks to our volunteers, our staff would be completely inundated with those calls. And so it was incredibly helpful to have our volunteers help us with that. So after we call through our callback list once, there are obviously a large number of callbacks that maybe haven't answered the phone, or we had to leave a message for, maybe they were disconnected or things like that. We go back through that callback list and recall all the consumers that we left those voicemails for or requested a callback at a later date. With our small staff and short time frame, it's really difficult for our staff navigators to make those calls. So this is where you come in. So we also have the option for our outreach volunteers to help us distribute literature. So as many of you know, there was a very large cut to the marketing budget for healthcare.gov and the Affordable Care Act pretty early on. And so since then, it has really been the job of the assisters here on the ground to educate the community and let them know what their options are. So that is a big part of our work. Usually we are out in the community doing a lot of outreach, attending various events, making sure that the community is aware of our presence and that we're here to offer this service. And so if you are able to and willing to share some of our literature with your community members, that would be incredibly helpful. If that is something that you'd be interested in, you're welcome to email Devin separately and let him know that you'd be more than happy to help, and he can share some of the literature with you all. And then if you don't mind just responding back to us after you sent something out about where you sent that and how many people it potentially reached, we can actually use that in our weekly reporting that we do. So that's incredibly helpful too. Also, you're welcome to post some of our social media things. We do have social media accounts. They're called Get Covered Mecklenburg, and we have a Facebook and Twitter account. And so you're welcome to repost or retweet anything that we post there. We would love to have you as a follower if you aren't already. And then also, if there are things, little graphics or things like that that you really like that maybe you don't want to repost or retweet, Devin can send those to you so you can post them yourselves on your social media. So any way that you all are willing to help us get the word out and distribute literature, that's incredibly important. Thank you for that. So there is, you'll have access to what is called our ACA volunteer portal. And within there will be a volunteer packet, which will include the Pledge of Confidentiality, our volunteer agreement, the volunteer callback script, how to schedule an appointment, the guide to doing that, the staff navigator schedule, as well as the contact list, the appointment checklist for the consumer, the ACA frequently asked questions, and then this PowerPoint, as well as this recording. So we call it a volunteer packet because usually when we are not in COVID, individuals have a packet with them, actual hard copies of all of these documents. But these will all be available on this ACA portal that we will give you all access to after this presentation. So the way that the weekly process will look is after you have completed this presentation and you have reviewed the materials, you've asked Devin or myself any questions that you might have, starting the week of October 12th, that Monday, you will receive a list of 15 callbacks per week from Devin in spreadsheet form. So it'll just be a spreadsheet with 15 individuals on it, first name, last name, phone number, zip code, what navigator they met with last year, as well as the location, because last year, you know, we were doing all of this in person, so that you have a reference point, and then their contact information. On the spreadsheet, you will want to color code and make notes for each of those calls, which we'll get into in a little more detail later on. And then by the end of the day on Friday of that same week, you will email Devin at his email address here with your updated spreadsheet. So whether or not you have actually completed all 15 callbacks doesn't matter. We would still like for you to return that callback list to Devin by the end of the day Friday, so we can reassess and regroup on the calls that need to be made, and then resubmit 15 new callbacks to each volunteer the following Monday. So again, whether or not you've completed the 15 callbacks, you still will want to return that spreadsheet with your color coding and your notes to Devin by the end of the day Friday. And again, you will receive 15 new callbacks every Monday until the end of November, or until we get through the callback list 3 times. Check your email for updates and questions regularly from Devin. So make sure that you've added Devin M at charlottelegaladvocacy.org as a trusted sender in your email, so that they go into your inbox. We don't want them going into spam or junk. And then if you have completed your calls early during a week and would like more callbacks and you have the time to do that, you can always email Devin your completed spreadsheet and then request additional callbacks, and he'll be happy to send those along to you.